Hey y'all. Hi, happy Friday. This is your girl Deborah Vines-Epps with Talk Your Talk Conversations with Deborah Vines-Epps on Thursdays at 7 o'clock. Today is Friday, of course, so there's an exception. Yesterday there was something that came up, and so usually I push it to the following week, but I did not want to push this one to the side. This one is very personable, near and dear in our society. The world is struggling with this. It's a very uncomfortable conversation. And so tonight we will be doing the topic navigating mental health in marriage and relationships. We are live streaming. There's no pre-recording for this. So what you get is raw and in person. So you all come on in, come on in. I am streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So again, we thank you all for tuning in with me tonight. Tonight I have my husband here with me, and this is very near and dear to my heart. All of my podcasts, people say, you say that on all the podcasts, where they all are near and dear because they are conversations with people and sometimes myself. But tonight is going to be a little bit more personable because the topic that we're discussing is a topic that we struggle with in the household. And that's mostly because of my mental illness. And so I want you all to relate and I want you all to leave comments as well. I'm going to start off with um, information I got from Mayo Clinic. It says, mental illness, also known as a mental health disorder, refers to a wide range of mental health conditions. It can affect your mood, thinking, and behavior. Some examples of mental health diagnoses are depression, anxiety disorders, schizophrenia, eating disorders, and addictive behaviors. Mental illness is ongoing symptoms that affects your ability to function and causes stress. So I know you all are wondering, what is your mental illness? So I want y'all to ask yourself first before we move on. Do you even know if you have a mental illness? Do you know what mental illnesses looks like? Have you been going through something physically, emotionally, psychologically where things just don't feel right? Your mind is not the same. Your behavior is not the same. Your mood is not the same. The feelings are not the same. If that's you, then go seek medical help. A lot of cultures don't feel comfortable doing this. So I encourage you. I encourage you. And the story I'm going to tell tonight will let you know how I was in denial for so long. As many of you all might know, I served in the military for 20 years and 55 days. I don't have the hours or the seconds, but I know it's 20 years and 55 days. I retired in May of 2021. And during my military assignments, I did 3 tours over in Iraq and Baghdad and Kuwait. And those 3 tours were sort of spaced out. My first one was in 2003, 2004. I was in the Army. My second tour was in 2009, 2010. And my third tour was 2017, 16 to 2017. And during that time frame, my first tour, I wasn't with Andre. I met him before I went on my second tour. Now, Andre and I have been married for
8 years.
yeah, 8 years. 8 years. Okay, he got it right. So we've been married
Sugar
for
points.
yes, I got you.
Mhm.
So 8 years, okay. And during those 8 years, we're going to talk about the ups and the downs. And I was diagnosed with chronic PTSD, and that's post traumatic stress disorder. A lot of people think that PTSD only happens in the military. That's not true. I truly know that I have PTSD from before I joined, but it was heightened once I joined the military. And if anybody out there know any veterans, anybody that in the civilians that works with the military, you all know that PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, is real and is mild, moderate, or severe. I have severe PTSD. I was in denial, you all, after my first deployment in 0304. And when I met my husband in 2007, I noticed a change in myself, but I was just like, you know what? I'm just going through something. It's just intermittent. It's just temporary, right? So when I met him, I was this upbeat person, and this is the core of me. I was this upbeat person, love to laugh, love to have fun, just very bubbly. But I noticed that started to go away.
Right.
And my second deployment, when I left, I was with Andre. And when I came back the second time, guys, it was worth. I realized my second deployment that something was wrong. Something was really wrong with me. These are some of the symptoms that I started to experience. I'm going to read these off to you because I didn't want to miss them. And I want you all to know in your relationships, whether it's marriage or whether it's friendships, relationships with family, anybody, are you experiencing these things? Is it ongoing? Does it come and go? Depression, I suffer with the depression too because that's a part of the PTSD. Some of the symptoms, I become frustrated easily. Anxiety, that's the hypervigilance. Any little thing, I can't have the sensors in the house that with the air freshener, I jump. I'm always on edge. I'm watching around. When we go somewhere, I have to make sure I know where the exits are. Avoidance, difficult to interact. I become unreceptive, numb. I have created a cycle in my relationship that's challenging to break. I become detached. My intimacy has decreased. And I'm talking about my sex drive. And I'm going to talk about that too. Um, and my emotional disconnection, negative self-image. I mean, look at me. People look at me and say, "Oh, you're so beautiful. You're doing great things. You're a role model. You are a strength for me." I help so many people. But y'all, I didn't feel that way. I felt like I was worthless. I at times still struggle with that. Um, I'm just now learning how to be vulnerable because I cared about what people thought about me. I cared about what people think about me. I would look at myself and I would put on a mask. I would wear this mascot, and I'm very good. I have very great internal locus control where I can go in front of a crowd in the audience and you would never think something was wrong with me. But on the inside of me, I felt so ugly and I felt so broken. The inability to connect emotionally. And I'm talking about emotionally with my husband, with my kids. I have a 6-year old and I have a 15-year-old. The inability to connect with my family and my friends. I always was very guarded. If I felt like you was going to hurt me, then you were like death to me. I always protected me. Um, and the last thing is I never could give all my love. And this is after I truly realized that I came out of my denial. I said, I do have PTSD and I started seeking help. So, enough of that. I wanted to go over those things with you all because I want you all to hear it from my husband. A lot of times we don't give our spouses or our friends or their relationships enough credit. Andre, could you share with them the Deborah that you met at first and the Deborah that I have became now? And I mean, we're going to be open and raw with you all because we want you all to relate.
So the Deborah that I met in the beginning, she was very outgoing and she used to love to have a lot of fun. We used to go, oh, maybe we used to travel and go do so many things. We'd just take off and go places and just like, babe, let's go here, babe, let's go do this. And we'd just take off and go do it. She used to be so happy and she want to lay up and smell me and lay beside me. And we go out and eat, we party. We've been in clubs everywhere, all over the world, not the world, but the 50 states.
Yeah, a lot of places.
Right. So she was just really bubbly and she show a lot of love. And we used to go to the park. We used to go to Rocky Mount. What's the name of the
Sunset
park? Sunset
Park.
Park.
That was our spot.
I always go to Sunset Park. We listen to all the music. We listen to Luther and
Yeah. Shoo do 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 do.
Right.
We used to sing to each other all the time, y'all.
Right,
Like this was that connection. It was a bond that was unbreakable.
right. And it stayed like that for a while. But I think when she deployed the next time, not
Yeah.
that time,
The
but the
second time in
second time.
2009.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when she came back, she was a little different. But she was expressing to me when we used to talk on Skype and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. She expressed like, I want to come home. I don't really want to do this tour no more. It don't feel the same. I'm not the same person I was when I first went in, years ago. So when she got back, it was like she had lost a part of herself, but she was still trying to act like it was still there. But I could tell that it had left or whatever. But we, I mean, I wasn't used to it. I was just, it threw me off. I'm thinking like, she didn't went over there and met somebody, or she don't love me no more, or what's going on with her. But I didn't know about mental health. What I knew about mental health, I didn't know about it to the point where the understanding what it really meant. I just knew what it looked like because I got a father that suffers from mental illness. He schizophrenia, bipolar. So I knew what it looked like, but I didn't know how. If you were to ask me what mental health meant, I couldn't tell you what it meant. But I could show you. I could because I always act like my dad anyway in front of everybody. I could show it to you, but that's pretty much. She just changed in those ways or whatever, and it took me a long time. Like right now, I still have to struggle with trying to figure her out because some days she got good days, she got bad days, but she always fighting to do the best she can and make it seem as normal as possible. So I just, hey, I've been rocking with her for 8 years. I'm gonna continue to rock with her. I mean, whatever mental health whatever illness she got, whatever it does to her, I'm gonna stay here with her. I'm here with her until the day I die. Not
Yeah.
unless she kick me out.
He always make me laugh, y'all, and that's what helps me because laughter is something that I always like to do, and I get so emotional um because I do not use, well, I'll say the word hate. My therapist always tell me don't say hate, but I despise the person that I feel like I am. Um, it is so hard for me to stay connected to my family. Um, because I struggle in here. I struggle in here, and the struggle is from a lot of things that I've seen, a lot of things that I dealt with. If anybody know, um, in the military, is hurry up and wait, is suck it up and drive on. Um, you have a mission. You have a mission. If you don't meet deadlines or your time hacks, somebody probably don't won't make it. And so my life has become that cycle, y'all. I'm on edge. I feel like I want to be in control of everything. And if I'm not in control of it, I feel like something's going to happen to me. And that's when, as my therapist say, it's the poking of the bear, right? The poking of the bear that's always there, that's ready, that's looking around and always guarded, ready for anything to happen. And I have gotten a lot better. And I find myself apologizing to my husband all the time. And I know you all probably saying, people that's watching or people that will be watching, I know you all watching on all platforms, like, wow, I never knew, because people inbox me all the time, right? And they ask me for feedback, and they'll say, Deborah, oh my gosh, you rock. I look up to you. You have a cleaning company, you have the funeral home, you do entertainment with artists, you help so many people, you will stop everything that you're doing. When do you make time for yourself? I want to tell you all this. I run from myself. I have ran from myself for so long because I don't want to deal with this. A lot of you all don't deal with this. And even the ones that's not diagnosed or undiagnosed or don't want to feel like something is wrong, guess what? It's been a stigma for so long that if you have a mental illness, you're crazy. If you have a mental illness, something is wrong with you. If you have a mental illness, people will look at you a certain type way, or people start calling you names. A lot of us, a lot of people deal with things. You don't have to be diagnosed with depression to be depressed. You can have depressed symptoms. You can have an adjustment disorder from moving from one state to the next state, and then you have to adjust different living arrangements, different people, different socializations. So now you have stress. That stress is now causing emotional stress. You're disconnecting from people because you're trying to figure it out. And when you're trying to figure it out, guess what continues? Life goes on. And so for me, the problems it has caused in our relationship, y'all, my sex drive really decreased. And my husband was like, hold up.
Yeah, like, what's going on
What?
here?
He was like,
Right.
wait a minute. So, I'm like, hold on, babe, let me just explain. This is what it is. So I'm like, you know what? I have to go get a therapist because you know, Andre and I are very transparent to each other. And that's the problem. A lot of relationships, you all don't know how to communicate, or you hide things, or you keep things from each other. That's one area that we are great in, is that we communicate with each other about everything. And you have to be honest with each other. And so we had the conversation. It's like, with everything going on in my mind, trying to have this healing heart, trying to overcompensate. All my success was covering all of the things that I was suppressing. See, I'm thriving. I'm doing good. I'm making good money. Everybody is happy. I'm good. I'm looking at what everybody else is doing, right? But I was neglecting myself. And so when it's time to go to bed at night, my body wanted to have sex, but my mind was like, night, night,
Right.
night, night.
I was like, wake up.
Right. Night, night. And sometimes I would say, babe, I'm so sorry, babe. I'm tired.
Yeah.
Can we do it tomorrow or like in the morning? And so that became old. Like,
But get in the bed naked.
I'm so,
Go ahead on, continue.
well, like, but I'm like, look, just be understanding, right? And so the next day and give me a few, it got worse and worse. And so he was like, look, you have to go to the doctor. So I'm like, maybe it's my birth control pills. I've been taking them since I was 15 years old, right? Maybe that's what caused your libido to decrease. Maybe that's it. But when I went to my doctor and she said, you're seeing a psychologist, right? And a psychiatrist, I said, yes, ma'am. She said, let's check your medication and also let's check with your psychologist. You all, it was my mental illness. It became more of an emotional detachment for me. I became emotionally detached because whenever I would have triggers with my PTSD, I would and see, I would communicate with my husband and my kids. I would say, they knew if I walked off and went upstairs, I was in a moment. I needed a moment. I can be in a conversation and I would hear you, but I don't hear you. And they would say, Mom, or, and I say, yep, They say, you know what? You're not even listening to me. Right. Like, so they knew. They knew. And so at that point, I was like, you know what? My sex drive has really decreased. So we had a conversation and I said, babe, I never want you to go cheat on me. Like, just work with me. See, this is how transparent we are. And not saying that he would have, but I just know that there's one thing that men love, and that's sex. Okay. They love a lot of other things too. And um, I felt like my husband wouldn't go cheat on me, but I wanted to have that conversation with him as well and say, look, if you ever get the urge or feel like you want to because of what I'm going through, just talk to me, because I never wanted to get to that point. And so with going through the therapy, with some of the medications and everything, it started to get better and started to get better. But even with getting better, we're like, yay, everything is good. But then guess what? It go back again because I stopped taking my medication, and my medication was more for my mood. It was more to make me happy and regulate my mood. And then I stopped my therapy. So it started to, go back and forth. And in our relationship, it's good sometimes, and then sometimes it's not so good. Um, Drake,
for one thing, I didn't understand PTSD. I never really understood. She always say, Dre, you got to go look it up and read books about it or go to meetings. And I just be like, yeah, you just trying to make up an excuse, say anything. You just don't feel like it. You done been doing all that stuff all day. Now you so tired. Now you coming with anything. So you just don't have to do nothing. So we'll be fussing. And the thing was, I just didn't understand PTSD. I still don't really understand everything, dealing with PTSD, but I try my best. Like sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I be like, I understand, babe, I get it, and sometimes I be like, what you gonna do? You taking your medicine. Sometimes I'm on the edge because hey, it might have been 4 5 days. So I'm looking like, look, we're gonna do something. Some got to give. Had to push that PTSD to the side. But I know she can't do that. She can't control it. So one thing about my wife, she mental.
Very.
She mental. So if it ain't up there, it ain't going on nowhere else.
But you know what? That's a good point. That's a good point because your mind, that's like that's a very important muscle. When people say, when you lose your mind, like, Lord, thank you for not, letting me lose my mind, because once you lose that, it's different. And I'll open up to you all a little bit more. I'm going to be a little bit more vulnerable with you all because this is going to help someone. Most successful people are the ones that struggle the most. We just deal with it a lot better. Most psychologists, psychiatrists, doctors, most people that are in those fields are in it for a reason. It's a passion. And a lot of us, we know the symptoms and we deal with it, but we get to the point where we can have a mental breakdown. And y'all, I got there one day. I will never forget, I was in my office and I felt like my brain was like cabbage. I don't know if y'all can just visually think, just picture cabbage. When it cooks, it shrivels, right? And so that's what happened to my mind, y'all. I couldn't think. I felt like a baby. I didn't know where I was at. I didn't know what to do. And so in that moment, when I thought I lost my mind, it took me, it scared my husband. It scared me because I thought I would never be able to do anything ever again. And that's what really made me go seek help. Um, my family gonna know now. I will say this, and my therapist gonna be very proud that I'm starting to open up with some of these things. Um, my family thought that I was off to duty. How long was it, Dre? 12 weeks?
About 12 weeks, something like that.
My husband has always protected me and my mental illness because, again, remember I told you I cared about what people thought about me and what people would say about me, because a lot of people looked up to me. A lot of people would see an image on the outside. And I told my husband I want to talk to my psychologist, and she even allowed my husband to come there, and we've been to therapy together so he can understand. And COVID hit, so that's why he'll continue to say, I really don't fully know, because we have to get back in it, because it's some things that I just don't feel comfortable talking to him about.
She won't even tell me everything that happened in the military.
I can't. And if any military people up here, y'all will relate. Just some things I don't want to reopen those wounds. So, but for 12 weeks, I left, and my psychologist, we talked to my husband and my village, which is my husband, um, my oldest son, father, my some of my family and friends. They were the only ones that knew. I didn't want everybody to know, because if Deborah gets sick or something happens to Deborah, oh my gosh, the world has crashed. Not Deborah. Oh, she's so strong, right? That's what everybody see in me. And don't get it wrong, I am strong. But one thing I've learned is that it's strength in vulnerability. Mm-hmm. It's strength in weakness. Because if I didn't go seek help, you all probably wouldn't see me today. I can promise you that. So,
the thing about strong people, they always holding everybody else up, but when they fall, who there to hold them up? Because they always got their arms full of everything. It ain't even no room to get up under them to hold them up, because they holding so many other people up. So it's hard for somebody with a lot of strengths to lean on somebody, because everybody think that They the strongest person in the world. You don't need, oh, don't worry about her or don't worry about him. He got it. He always like this. He always a go-getter. He'll never stop. Every time you see him, that don't mean he don't need help. That don't mean he don't need a break. That don't mean he don't need somebody to lean on. Everybody do. I don't care how strong your person might seem, they need help. They need somebody. Everybody needs somebody.
Yeah.
Everybody needs somebody.
And the sad thing is that a mental illness is a mental illness, but some are so severe. Like, and I want
Like my dad.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like mental illness affect relationships and affect people because Andre relationship with his dad was difficult because his dad, you want to kind of talk about it a little bit, not go into detail, but his dad really couldn't be there. Great guy, great person, sweetheart. But mental illness sometimes takes you out of your norm. It makes you become somebody else. And you can't be the person that you are or the core of you because the mental illness has taken over. And some people just don't understand.
Right. And that was me. As a kid, you won't understand. As a kid, if you're looking at everybody else father and you're looking at other dads that's doing things with their kids and you think about yours, as a kid, you don't understand mental illness. You just look at it like, oh, he's sorry. He ain't never around. He don't come around for no birthdays. He don't come around for Christmas. I don't never see him like that. When he come around, I'm embarrassed. Riding on the school bus coming from school. I'm hoping that, I hope he ain't out here nowhere so people don't start laughing and see him walking around. Cause it growing up like that, you always was worried about what people had to say. They never had anything to say good about your dad, like, oh, your dad did this, or I saw your dad doing, oh, your dad went to because my dad went to the military, but you don't hear nothing about none of that stuff right there. You don't hear nothing about when he had his mind. Only thing you hear about is when he lost his mind, or all the crazy stuff he do, or your dad driving like this, or I saw your dad walking on the sidewalk, I saw your dad had his hair slicked back with, all that type of stuff. So as a kid, you got to think that that right there is enough to just tear a kid all the way down. So you got to be strong. You got to get past that and try to build your own image to take away from the image that he had. So with me and my brother and my sisters, it was hard for us having a dad like that because if you didn't have a dad like that, you won't understand it. It's just funny to everybody else. But think about us. Think about the Christmas. Think about the birthdays. Think about the Thanksgivings. Think about the proms. Think about the graduations. Think about all the stuff that your dad can attend and that you don't even really want him to attend because you're gonna be so ashamed if he come in there that you probably want to go hide. But that's not understanding the mental illness because if you understand that, then you don't care what nobody say about him. You know he can't help himself. You know it's a problem that he can't control. So you just gotta embrace it. It's nothing you can do but take medicine, and the medicine can only help him so much.
Yeah. And Bay, I'm glad you shared that because that's the point of this podcast is mental health in marriage and relationships. Mental health can be so damaging if it's untreated because look what happened to Dre. Having that absent parent in his life, that becomes a cycle. And that's what I talked about. It creates a cycle in the relationship that can be challenging to break. Then it creates generational curses, right? Like, my husband, having that people who have that father figure in their lives, they are taught things, and I'm not making an excuse about what people do, but let's just be real here. If a mental illness affects your relationship and how you dealt with things, because we have a tendency to suppress things. And I'm not going to break down the cultures because the percentages would show that, especially in the Black culture, what happens in the house stays in the house. Oh, ain't nothing wrong with you, or just go sit somewhere. You'll be okay, or just pray about it. God will take it away, right? And I'm not taking away from anybody's spiritual belief. However, let's have some reality and discernment here that mental health affects people. It breaks people. And if it's untreated, and if you are in denial, gosh, if you're in denial, you're damaging yourself and you're damaging the loved ones around you. And so for so long suppressing those feelings, Andre realizing my mental health and how it affects him and my boys, he often talks about, now I get why I did the things I did growing up. Like my husband loves a joke. Like I tell him all the time, I always say, you're like Allen Iverson to me. If you all know Allen Iverson's story, Allen Iverson went through a lot. That man is probably should have been the most successful basketball player
Mhm.
for real. But the mental illness, he was a mascot. He covered up so much, his ambition, his drive, but he could not let it go. And because of the irritability, the agitation, and everything, it took the best of him. And it kind of took over his career. And that happens to a lot of us.
Right.
We fake it until we can't fake it anymore. And so for me, I started hurting my husband and I started hurting my boys to the point where my 15-year-old, it took for me to hear it from him. My 15-year-old told me, he said, Mom, you don't even talk like you used to anymore. He said, you don't do things with us like you used to anymore. He said, you just so hard and you so cold. And I'm like it hurt. Like I would tell, I'm like, I feel like a bad mom, and I would go cry to myself, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, what am I doing wrong? I beat myself up so much because I felt like when I'm in front of everybody else, they seeing this part of me. But the main thing is my house, my family. How can I be of any good to anybody else if I'm not good to myself? Like I know my relationship with God. When I tell you, when we do family stuff around the house, what's our favorite thing that we play? We get together and everybody pick their own song. And I always pick gospel. At the end of every game, guess what everybody end up singing?
Gospel.
Gospel.
Yeah.
Because it just does something to all of us. And so my spiritual connections, the one thing that have kept me. But I struggle, y'all. I have gotten a lot better, but I struggle daily. I do, and I cry. I get it out. I'm better now. I communicate with it better now. But it's real. It's real. I want to also if y'all want to leave in the comments, we can talk if y'all have any questions. Negative self-image. Um Dre, do I say a lot of things sometimes about how I don't think I look good, or I think something is wrong with me, or
Yeah. She'll say stuff like that. You'll say things like that, and I'll be like, what are you talking about? I say, you look good. Remember we were out the other day and five people said, oh my God, girl, I love your hair. Oh my God, girl, I wish I had that shape. Oh my God, girl, I love your skin. I said, what more can you ask for? But if you don't feel that way inside yourself, it ain't nothing nobody else could tell you. You're not gonna get it from nobody else. You gotta feel it yourself first. Then when you hear it from other people, it just add on to what you already know. But if you don't feel that way yourself in the inside, no matter how much clothes you put on, no matter how much makeup you put on, no matter how many people walk up to you and tell you how beautiful you are, if you don't feel beautiful, you're never gonna be beautiful to you. And you're the person that you're the person that's most important. So you should feel like I'm beautiful. That's why people always says strengthen yourself first. Tell yourself I look good. It's all about me. I'm the one. So when other people tell you, you kind of already know. Not to big it up or boast it or throw it in nobody's face, but you always start off with you first. Because if you don't feel like that, then no matter what nobody said, it's not gonna mean anything to you.
and y'all, it's like I tell people, I'm type A personality, right? And I tell people all the time, Andre is he's my calmness. Like he really likes to argue. And if anybody know him, he brightens up the room. Like he is the person that he doesn't argue as much. I mean, I push him there because sometimes I just want to argument myself. I want you to feed with me, feed into me.
Trigger words.
Yeah, I know how to push the buttons because I'm mad, so I project my feelings onto him, and y'all do that a lot too. Stop projecting. Projecting means when you're feeling something, somebody does something to you, you find that person or that place to Project your feelings onto them and you make it more than what it is. It's kind of like hitting a fly with a sledgehammer. Stop doing it. Stop. Stop doing it. Stop hitting the fly with the sledgehammer. It's not. Take a deep breath. Deep breaths work. Okay. Take a deep breath. So I found myself what was I saying? See, I told my
It's ain't a fly.
love before the fly. What was I saying? See, I'm telling y'all, and see this. I so this is an example. My mind is always like this. I talk a lot. If you all know, I'm the type of person I try to get everything out at one time so I don't forget. That's part of the PTSD.
You said
It's
I was the calmness.
yes, 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 yes. You know you can't forget that I'm talking about you. So let me get to that before I forget. So Andre is truly the calmness to me. I I can't have anyone that's I know people are like, she does not seem like that. So don't get it twisted. I am a very sweet person. I would give you the shirt off my back. I would do anything for anybody. Look, y'all ask my husband. One day we was somewhere and I'm jumping all around y'all. But one day we was somewhere and someone had an accident. We was in Raleigh.
Oh, this way at the beginning too.
Yeah. Someone was in an accident and we riding by. What did I do? I stop. I jump out. This guy was driving. He was in car he was intoxicated. He hit a tree. I got out. He was bleeding and everything. I didn't do CPR, but I made sure I check his pulse. I called the police. Like, I'm that person that would do anything for anybody. I don't care who you are.
I was still in the truck.
Yeah, he didn't get out.
Too much
Like,
blood.
right. So I get that example to the extreme of anybody that knows me, and I know when God sees fit to take me, everybody gonna have the same things to say because I am that person. See, I'm gonna big myself up with that. I am that person for people. Like, I love people. I love to make sure that people are okay. And you know why? It's because it's an avoid that I've had in my life. And so while I'm feeling my void, I want to make sure I never make anyone feel like I have been a void to them. So if you ever come across my path, I'm going to give you 1,000% of me. Right? That's me.
Definitely. Yeah.
That's always me.
Yeah.
And so my husband has been that piece for me. Like, people would joke, my friends would joke sometimes. Like the other day, I was away from him and I text and said, I miss y'all. I'm ready to come home. And it's just so peaceful. I can just be home with my husband and my kids all day, every day. Um, but why do I? This the part that bothers me. I can become so numb and withdrawn in the moment with them, and I just tap out, and I'm just like, no, 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 don't go there, don't go there. And I don't know if it's a trigger, I don't know what it is, and that's the poking of the bear. That's the mental illness where in that moment I would tell my husband, like, look, I'm just forgive me right now. Let me get myself together. Or I give him a heads up. If I'm feeling, I say, babe, I need you more today.
That's your text.
Yeah, I'll text and I said, babe, today been kind of tough for me mentally today. I need you more today. So he know when I say I need you more today, that means when I come home, I just need a break. I need for you to hold me more. Let's talk a little bit more. I need that because when I come,
And some days I get it, some days I don't. Because some days she'll say, I text you yesterday. I told you I need a little bit more. You touched me on top of my head. You fixed me something to eat, and that was it. I needed more.
and yes, and so, but I won't say anything. I'll wait until the next time, and I'll say, I need more than what you gave me last time. But in his mind, he's thinking that he gave me enough. 'Cause a lot of times when I do come home, the food is ready. He have my food in the microwave. He'll fix the plate. You know what I'm saying? Make sure I eat and everything because he know that when I do come home, I'm going like my 15-year-old say, Mom, when you come home, you're in the zone. You come from the funeral home or you come from the cleaning company office and you come home and you open your laptop up and you don't even come home and talk to us. So I have gotten better with that.
Right.
And before you know it, it's 8, 9 o'clock and it's ready to get ready. It's time for bed.
Right.
Right. So I say all that to say
Actually walk around like this.
No, like this.
And
Look,
then
yo,
one already closed and the other one open.
yeah. He knows when I'm sleeping. Like,
Yeah. She turning to she turning to a Chinese.
okay, so we want to. Yeah, my eyes. I already have little slinky eyes, but they really get slinky. Um, so I want to say to y'all, life is short. God knows life is really short. I want y'all to love hard, make amends with people that you're not talking to right now. Um, being at the funeral home helps me too because I encounter so many families, so many loved ones that once had that loved one there before, and the next day they're gone. Whether it was anticipated or whether it was sudden, it still doesn't matter. That loved one isn't here anymore. We know that we all have our day that we're going to leave here. However, um, I always tell my husband that, babe, I'm struggling. I'm struggling. You know, I need you more today because I don't ever want to leave here and something happens to me and we didn't, he didn't understand why I was mad at him or he didn't understand why I was in my feelings because you all have to stay in your feelings. If something has happened, stay in your feelings. Talk about it with the person. That's been the problem with mental illnesses. We suppress it. And that's the unconscious. The unconscious is this part of your brain. The conscious is here. And so everything that you deal with in your life, you deal with it from the conscious perspective. But when something is triggered or something comes up, guess what? It moves from here to up here. Now all of this is clouded. Now you're stressed out, you're emotionally detached, you are overwhelmed. And now guess what happens? It causes physical problems. You have pain in your neck, pain in your back, and then now there's a spiritual instability. There's three things: emotional, physical, spiritual. You can tie the psychological to the emotional in a way. If you have these three unbalanced, what you think gonna happen? It's gonna cause too much weight on the other one. And when it's too much weight on the other one, there's a imbalance there, right? And when there's that imbalance there, what happens? Your cup is running empty. And when your cup runs empty, you have nothing to give. And when you have nothing to give, the irritability kicks in. Everything that everybody does becomes like a gnat in your ear. Ear is everything. And that's what happens to me because I don't fill my cup with the spiritual realm like I should. Right? I know what to do. I know when to do it. But if I keep my spiritual filled, if I keep my physical, and that's whether it's exercise, whether it's in the house or whatever, yoga, meditation, that's part of physical health. And then your emotional, that's your mental, right? And so with all of those three things together, that's where your balance come in at. And if you're not balancing all those three areas, guess what? It causes a lot of strain on your body and people start having heart attacks, strokes, stress kills, aneurysms. Like y'all, all this tied together. People say, Lord, I didn't know that lady was sick. Or I didn't know that man was sick. What happened to him? They had a stroke. They stressed out. What's wrong? Y'all, we got to take care of ourselves. And I challenge myself to take care of myself because I love my husband and I don't want a divorce. I don't. He get on my nerves sometimes. Yeah. And I get on his nerves too. I think I get on his, hold on. Do I get on your nerves more?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Top answer. top answer. All right. Who gets on each other's nerves the most? Andre or Deborah?
Deborah.
Wrong answer. so I think it's like it's all situational, but I can be difficult to deal with. I like to communicate. I like to talk everything out. It's always a lesson in everything.
Yes, I'll write a letter.
Oh yes.
You write your letter and I write mine.
You
pass it to me and I pass you my.
Y'all, we do that. Look, we do that sometimes. Y'all might think that's cheesy, but if you feel like, because sometimes you feel like you probably can't talk about it right then. So I like to write sometimes. I feel like when I write, I can express things better.
And you tell me I talk about it in text.
He
I
does.
express myself better.
He expresses himself better when he's writing because sometimes when he talk, I cut him off. Well, I don't let him finish because I'm trying to get my point out. So that's me too. So, loved ones out here that when you, if you feel like it's hard to communicate to somebody, write a letter. Look, it's not for them, it's for you first. Because forgiveness is for you. And you never want to wake up and know the person that you had something with is gone and you never got it right. And so with my mental illness, um, I have struggled. I have struggled to the point where I felt like my husband and my kids was better without me. Um, I felt, people would say things about I used to say things like, how could somebody want to hurt themselves, right? And they'll say, oh, that's just the devil.
Mhm.
That's just the devil in your head and telling you to do this and do that. And I would say, yeah, but I tell people suicide is an in the moment action.
Oh, she always say it's the moment.
It's the moment when most people, and I've talked to people with therapy when I was doing therapy with people, and some would say, in the moment, I just felt like I didn't want to be here. I felt like, this dark cloud came over me. I just felt like I didn't want to be here in the moment, but I'm glad I lived because I know the importance of being here.
So we think everybody that tried to commit suicide, the ones that succeeded, they had a second chance. Would they do it again?
I honestly feel
What percent do you feel would do
I,
it again?
I can't give a percentage, but I truly feel like some people really wanted to go.
And no matter what, they would have did it all over again, no matter what.
I don't know if they were done all over again. I think that the people, some people just really don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
I truly feel that way because they feel like they are causing pain on people and themselves. Um, but suicide is real, and suicide awareness is real, and suicidal thoughts is real. It doesn't mean that you have a plan, but suicidal thoughts is real, and mental health is connected to suicide.
Right.
It is. Y'all know a lot of important people have committed suicide. A lot of people commit suicide. The suicide rate is very high, and veterans alone,
Depression. A lot of depression.
a lot of people out here are depressed.
Mhm.
Y'all are mental health is real. Stop ignoring it. Please stop. Go get some. If you don't feel comfortable talking to somebody, a professional, call someone you trust. Call someone you trust. Somebody said, my relationship was restored and my lover came back to me. He apologized for all the wrong things he did and promised never to do it again. My toxic relationship was restored back to normal. Thank you so much for saving my relationship. Okay. Oh, thank you for that. Queen, mother, connect with him. What was that? Okay. And I like the word where you use restored.
Mhm.
There's restoration in everything. People find tools for restoration, whether it's the inner peace, whether it's reading the scriptures, whether it's trusting someone, trusting that person that has a non-judgment zone. I have a few. I have people, my circle is so tight, y'all, that I now realize, even if I have those thoughts or whatever, I realize how important I am. For one, to myself, and I realize how important I am to people. And so because of that, I live. And I want y'all to live. Um, I told y'all all of the things I struggled with and the things we struggle with, and we still struggle with those things daily. And that's the thing about us, we can be transparent and real. because the image that we uphold is the image that we uphold with God first. Let me just say that. What you see is what you get. All right. It doesn't matter what pedestal people put you on. You have your own pedestal. See, social media, TV, it all portrays the image. But when you all see somebody divorced or somebody going through stuff, everybody is so shocked. Why be so shocked?
Yeah, they're human just like
They're human. You all have to start being real in your own relationships. You all have to understand that everybody's not meant to be a part of your life. You all have to understand that God elevates and puts you in certain situations to be a testimony for others. We go through things. I know everything that I have been through is for a purpose and for a reason. And I know, and I ask my husband all the time, I say, babe, once you know what you are destined here for, the moment I was in my mom's womb, God already knew what he had me on earth for. He already knew what he was bringing me here for. I know. And I tell my husband all the time, I say, babe, he know where everything is. Something happened to me right now. Him and three other my friends. They got all the information. I say, babe, if God was to take me right now, I'm okay with it. I'm okay. Because I know that I'm doing what God wants me to do. And that's to be a testimony to others. And that's to speak to others. It's also for me to be real because you can be successful and be vulnerable. You can be successful and be okay with letting others know that it's okay to fall.
right.
Guess what? I don't have to carry on a facade for anyone. I have been that person, and that person was not happy. That person would come home and feel like nothing. My family started to suffer from it. And I had to make a change. And so I challenge you. I challenge you in your marriage. I challenge you in your finances. I challenge you in your spiritual growth. I challenge you with your friends, with your family. I challenge you to get it right with yourself first. Figure out what the triggers are. Figure out what it is about you. Everybody's not going to act how you want them to act. Everybody's not going to do what you want them to do.
Right.
Everybody's not going to respond how you want them to respond. But just allow them to be who they are and say, you know what? I forgive you. I would not allow you to do me how you did me before, but I know how to deal with you and I still love you.
Right.
Because everybody's not meant to grow with you. Everybody's not meant to elevate with you. You got to just love yourself. And you know the sad thing, Bay, is that right now society is all about drama.
Right.
Our society is so dark right now, so it just adds to the mental illness. If you, Dre says something that was so hard, and he tell me all the time, Bay, you are beautiful, and I know I am beautiful. I know. It's just sometimes the PTSD just gets the best of me. Sometimes God knows I got prayer warriors in my family. They pray for me. People, I know the people that pray for me. I pray for people too. But I just know it's a struggle. And when it's a struggle, I talk to him. I talk to myself. I get to myself. Um, I might just get in the car and ride around. He'll know if I leave and go ride around. I'm trying to get myself together.
Or sit in the car when you first get home.
Yep, I sit in the car. A lot of y'all do that too.
Right.
Sit in the car when you first get home.
Right.
Just kind of like decompress a little bit. Like I don't want to bring in what I had in the car or something that I was upset about. I don't want to bring that in the house.
Right.
And so this podcast, y'all, I'm gonna be as personable as I can with y'all. I bring people on. People have given me so many. I got so many topics to choose from
Right.
that I sometimes I'm like, okay, babe, which one should I do? I'll contact this person. Keep following me. I want to. Let me tell you what I want. Lord, we're gonna claim this right now. I want to be. I want to be national, y'all. Like I want my podcast to really grow so I can just reach so many people. And
because it's all about the teaching. You want to teach and you
I
want to help.
do.
It ain't about nothing else. It ain't about the cloud. It ain't about the followers. It's about helping people.
It
That's
is.
all that she concerned about.
It is,
That's all
y'all.
that she care about. So
And I'm gonna stay consistent with it. I told my husband, if I have one person that I reached, I've done what I'm supposed to do. And I asked God, I said, God, I know you're elevating me. You're not finished with me yet. You're elevating me to a point where I'm going to travel. I'm going to speak to people, whether it's in person or through my podcast or through Zooms or whatever. But I said, God, never let me get too big here where I forget the purpose in my life for you. I don't never want to get too big where I'm not here with everybody else, where I feel like, you can't touch me, you can't talk to me, you can't reach me. Right. I never want to get too big where I feel paranoid because I don't know, people gonna be stalking me or trying to hurt me or my family. God, continue to protect me, protect my family, protect my loved ones, protect everything, because I'm doing your word. I'm doing your will. And that's why I love doing this. Y'all be tired sometimes when I come home.
yeah, this helps her.
It does.
Yeah, it helps her.
It does, y'all. I can leave from my son running. My 6-year-old, our 6-year-old, he's in a running club. So I can leave from that, hurry up and come home, change a little bit, freshen up, and get on my podcast. We have a lot of viewings at the funeral home from 4 to 7 on Thursday. Sometimes I will set up in the at the funeral home. I won't leave until 8 o'clock. Leticia sit there with me, or I'll be like, I got it, and I set up in the funeral home because this is something I want to do and I love doing it. And I appreciate you all following me. I appreciate you all, people that's not on social media. People come back and view. I don't have it on Instagram yet, but it is on Twitter and on YouTube. The subscribers is on my YouTube. I just love it. I do. And I am going to, when you do God's will, it's going to happen how it's supposed to happen.
Right.
I do want to see the day where it's just a lot of people ping, ping, ping. As soon as I log on, it's 100 to 200 people viewing.
A lot of comments.
A lot of comments. I do, and it's coming. I think I've been doing this, what, babe, about 3 months? About 3, 4 months.
About 3. Yeah, about 3.
Yeah, about 3, 4 months I have. So you all, I appreciate you all tuning in. Dre, is there anything, babe, you want to say to them about family, mental illness? You want to talk to the spouse, or not just the spouse, or the better half, to tell them how to deal with a person with a mental illness?
I say just stick by the person you love. Stick by your wife. Stick by your husband. Stick by your kids. Just get knowledge. Educate yourself on whatever they might be suffering from. That'll give you a little bit of understanding. That's what I need to educate myself as well. But I think if you educate yourself and just stand by them, don't beat them up when they're going through. If they having something mental going on, don't beat them up. On top of that, kind of like figure a way out, to try when they're going through these things or their emotions that way, or you could tell they're in that mood. Figure out something to help soothe it, bring it down, calm them, make it better for them until they get out of it. That's what I was saying. Then for the kids, just if you got a person that's suffering from any type of mental illness, just stand the ground, like stay. If they can't do it, then you step up and do the things that they can't do at that moment. You stand, you be the wall for them. You protect them, box them in so they can get themselves together, and then you handle the rest of the world. I would say do that. That'll make that person appreciate you more, and then also be able to deal with what they got going on. And if they feel like you there for them like that, they're gonna come through it better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
a team. If you got a team, you're gonna win with a team.
Yeah. Find the people that you're safe and secure with.
Yeah.
Find those ones that you feel like you're in a safe space with. And the people that feel like, if it's difficult for you to find that safe place, there are 1-800 numbers. You can look at the suicide hotline. Not only that, the crisis hotline. Call someone that's unbiased, who don't know you. Call and talk to them.
And don't run from it. Don't run from mental health. If you feel like you need to see a psychiatrist, go see one. And Me growing up, nobody ever talked about seeing a psychiatrist. I ain't never heard nobody.
Psychiatrist say,
If you hear that, you'll hear somebody say,
you're cra-
"Oh, he crazy."
yeah,
You heard they sent what's the name to see a psychiatrist, or they sent him to see somebody. Something wrong with that boy. No, it ain't. It don't got to be all the time. There's something wrong with him. With mental health don't mean something wrong. It's like, oh, he didn't lost it. He crazy. He, you know what I'm saying. He just might need somebody to talk to. He might be going through something. Like I said, it don't take you to be in the military to suffer from PTSD. Anything can trigger.
yeah,
Anything can trigger. PTSD don't mean army. It don't mean
military,
military. It
no.
don't mean that. And a lot of people think that we like, oh, he was in the military.
Trauma, yeah,
It's
people,
trauma.
yeah, it's trauma, and your body's responding to that trauma, and trauma is real. It is, and tonight, I talk more from a perspective of personal versus. I didn't want to be the therapist tonight. I've been that therapist. I've done individual, adults, children, residential. I've done all of that. Tonight, I didn't want to be that therapist. I wanted to stay in the moment with my husband and talk about mental illness in relationships and our relationships. Look, we are a strong team. We are a unit. We discuss everything together, whether it's, yes, everything, whether it's uncomfortable, whether it's good, whether it's bad. Now, this is mostly me, might not talk because when I go in, I go in. Don't do it a whole lot. But it's just like everything I hold together, like I just let it go.
Right.
And then, but I feel bad, y'all. But I won't say anything right then. I come back and we'll talk about it later. But I told him, I said, babe, as long as one thing, when we got married, we were told it should be 3 people in that circle. And that's Dre, me, and God. That's the union. So we know every time the time get rough, we know we can pray.
Mm-hmm.
We know we can talk to him about it. And we know we can go to the scripture. Okay? It's 8:01. And that's a good thing about Talk Your Talk, Conversations with Deborah Vines-Epps is my podcast. So nobody don't have to stop me. But we're going to end here by saying this. Get some help. Okay? I want to tell the difference between these professionals. A therapist is a professional, whether it's a person that's licensed or a person that's credentialed to help you with therapy, with sitting down one-on-one to talk about your problems, managing how to manage your symptoms and how to deal with them. Okay. You can do individual, you can do couples, or you can do group therapy. You have a psychologist. A psychologist is a person that is licensed. They're very similar to a therapist, a social worker, but they do more of the testing and they have a higher level of expertise and license. Then you have your psychiatrist. Your psychiatrist prescribes the medication. The psychiatrist is not your therapist. However, they can talk about the managing of your symptoms, but they mostly talk about your medication. So, psychiatry is the person with the medication. If you want to get help, don't be afraid to seek help. Okay? Don't be afraid. And if I'm going to keep it real with y'all, people say, I want to talk to somebody that look like me. If that's what you're comfortable with, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. A lot of cultures don't believe in getting help. If you know something is not right and you don't want to call anyone professionally, call a friend who you trust. I don't feel right. I'm laying around. I don't like to do things that I had pleasure in doing before. I don't feel like taking baths. My personal hygiene isn't important to me anymore. I'm overwhelmed all the time. I'm like irritable, want to snap. If this something that's ongoing to you, talk to someone. All right. I love you all. I thank you all. Next week, I'm going to talk about addictions. Addictions, people think addictions just look like someone that uses drugs, illicit drugs, or alcohol. No, it's not. Addictions is for someone who's addicted to whether it's shopping, gambling. There's so many addictions out here.
Right.
Okay. We need to stop judging people. We need to stop putting people in bubbles and making them feel worthless when they already feel down. We got to stop. No sin is greater than the next sin.
Right.
If you have not been through addiction, you don't know what it feels like. Okay, so we're going to talk about addiction. I'm going to have a special guest next week to talk about how addiction has taken over their lives, the relapse and everything with addiction, and how support is the most important thing. It's when they're ready. Okay. So again, thank you all. Hey, Tiffany, you're welcome. Thank you for tuning in, Tiffany. Quita, okay, Professor. I know you were talking about Andre when you said that. Okay, Professor. So y'all tonight, look, it's storm. I don't know where you are, but in Virginia, we're having a storm tonight, heavy rain tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday. Look, we're in for the weekend. We already have our groceries ordered. We already planned what we're going to eat these next two days, and we're about to go into the theater room and we're about to pop popcorn, watch a movie. I may fall asleep and take a nap, but it's okay. I might start out watching the movie Lids. But I say all that to say, love on your loved ones, acknowledge who you are, where you are, deal with it, love yourself. Thank you. Yes, looking forward to hibernating. Yes. So thank you all. Tune in with me. Follow me. I'm going to have my YouTube page if you want to subscribe to my YouTube to watch me there, and my Talk Your Talk here, and my page, Deborah Vines-Epps. See you all soon. Have a beautiful weekend. Until next Thursday. Thank you all for tuning in. Mwah.
Be safe.
Be safe out there.